distant place. And his friends gather round as the embers burn bright. The shadows all dancing in the soft golden light. They know when he starts they'll be here for a while, 'cause his tales always end with a roar and a smile. Oh, tanky boys, spin your stories tonight. Let the fire spark the memories shining so bright. We're together, we're laughing, everything feels right. Living our life in the glow of the firelight. He tells of battles fought with nothing but will, of rolling like boulders down cold stony hills, of friends he once carried when the storms rolled in fast, and how every tough moment became a tale to last. Now the night air is warm with the sound of their cheer. Every voice lifted up, every heart gathered near. In the circle of warmth, all the worries feel small. This tanky boy's stories are bonding them all. Oh, tanky boys, spin your stories tonight. Let the fire spark the memories shining so bright. We're together, we're laughing, everything feels right. Living our life in the glow of the firelight. And the stars overhead seem to wink at the crowd as the tanky boy boasts proud and humble and loud. They clap and they tease him, but they love every word. His tales are the heartbeat of nights, like these shared. Oh, tanky boy.
Greetings and hello. Greetings and hello. I am Exelios, your humble storyteller for tonight, and I welcome you to Campfire Tales. I hope these stories tonight help you find the dreams that will help you, embolden you for tomorrow, give you the wisdom you wish most of all. But absolutely most. Give you the inspiration to be spectacular in everything you do. From the simplest of tales to the grandest of stories. Here around the campfire, a story is more than just a story. It is a magic from olden days, the magic of dreams. And without this magic, how can you be ready for tomorrow? More importantly, how can you dream of a tomorrow? And I see a good friend is in chat tonight. Greetings, Kami Alia. And I hope I was able to do that shout out right, but I'm still learning. I don't have the easier method, and I have to do the old boat. But, like I said, Here runs a campfire. We will tell stories for all to hear. Stories to help those who are tired and worn. Oh, Jesus Christ, I think I sucked in a toad. Blech. But more importantly, these stories, I know, as people listen to them, they will not be here by the end. Because these stories will begin to take them and help them sleep. And give them the dreams they had, hopefully, when they were but a child. But more importantly, they will give them dreams they haven't had in such a long time. So, well, I'm currently coughing here like a damn fool, realizing I forgot to bring some water. Well, maybe. Oh. Hey. Oh, that wasn't water. I'm like 5 feet away. Anyways, I'm in armor. I'm pretty much fireproof. But for tonight, how about a simple and warming tale? One of my favorites. A little bit scary and a little bit spooky. But it is one I remember from when I was very young. And I don't remember the author. This one stuck with me for many years. And it's simply called Holy Shit, there's a bunny in chat. Oh, no, that wasn't the story. I'm sorry. Greetings, Ujabu. If you are around, I'm in here at Inu's World around the campfire. You and the Sharky are more than welcome to come and visit. To sit by the campfire to hear the tales. As long as the Sharky doesn't do anything silly. I remember when she almost kicked me out my homeworld. Alright, this is just tonight's first story. I know if you have heard it. It is simply titled The Ski Mask. Somewhere over in Europe, the story takes place for a man. His job wasn't a very hard one, but it required him to drive all over the place. And for many years, whenever he would go to bed, he would pull this old wool ski mask down across his face and go to bed. And for many years, even his wife was curious about it. And she would see how he would get in such a fright if he tried to go to bed and it was not to be found. Eventually, she grew the courage to ask him, "Dear husband, why? Why do you wear this thing? Why do you wear this old, uncomfortable, itchy mask every time you go to bed? Why must you have it pulled tight down across your face to almost as if you cannot breathe?" And he sat there in bed, looking down at his old wool thing. The stitching had faded. The colors were long since past. Even where he had to use a needle and thread to stitch it back together in places. And he stared at her, taking one large, heavy breath. and finally said, "Perhaps it is time." For him, the origins of this goes back many years. To when he was traveling across the roads one winter, in his old little vehicle, his little car that thankfully had four-wheel drive. It wasn't the best thing in the world. The engine sounded like it was going to explode at any minute. The gearbox pretty much was sloppy as hell. But thankfully, no matter how hard or much it struggled, this little vehicle would always get him home. And it always seemed never to get stuck in the snow. Then one year, the snow was coming down exceptionally hard. He was trying to drive home, eyes glued to almost over the steering wheel, because the blizzard had become so fierce. He was trying to drive along this long old road, trying to see where, if any place, there could be a bit of refuge. And almost as if he thought it could happen, the storm seemed to part just long enough for him to look around and take notice. And to notice across the field something was there. What appeared to be an old farmhouse. His spirit soared, realizing, yes, someplace I could possibly ask to see if I could stay there for the night. So he tried his best to coax the vehicle down this winding road, trying to make sure it could stay on the pavement or what was there. It finally muscled itself up the old drive, up to where the farmhouse was, and closer he got, the more a sinking feeling he had. By the time he arrived at the farmhouse, he noticed this place had almost looked like it had been abandoned for many, many years. Even more so, as if this place had been forgotten. But he could not be a beggar in these hard times. So he got out of his car, went up to the door, and knocked several times, trying to see if anyone was there. He tried the door, and thankfully it was unlocked. Because over there in the Europe places, when the winters get so cold and so bitterly frigid, it is common knowledge and common courtesy to leave a door to your barn, your garage, even a small access area in your house open, so if anyone is outside caught in a blizzard, they may seek refuge and warmth. And he walked into this house. He would look around. All of the furniture had drapes across it, sheets, and all were covered in thick layers of dust, indicating whoever had lived here, perhaps even a long, long time ago, had long since gone. He walked around and looked. Then he decided to climb the old stairs, each step creaking under his weight, the groan of the old wood. And he finally got up to one of the top doors and opened it. And there happened to be an old bed. And thankfully, even an old mattress upon it, but nothing else. Because of him being a very particular curmudgeon, he did have a small sleeping bag in his vehicle in case of emergencies. His wife had always complained, "Why do you put that back there? You know you'll never need it. Why do you always have these things cluttering up your vehicle?" But for once he was happy that he was right and he did need this little thing. He unfurled his sleeping bag on the old mattress, bundled himself up, and began to rest. His eyes were growing tired, and the coldness on his face was much. So he pulled his old ski mask down, tight to his skin, tucking it into his coat, and beginning to sleep. As he began to flutter away and consciousness began to leave him, he heard something outside, out in the fields. A sound that was not quite a sound, but something else. It sounded like a howl mixed with the gargling of a motor. It sounded like something out there was dying, but also screaming. And he began to wonder what possibly could it be? And then it began to get closer to where he was. Him laying back in bed, slowly breathing through his teeth, the very slightest vapors of breath leaving. And again the creature screamed, or whatever it was. It became closer and closer. He at first thought, perhaps it is a bear or wildcat, some sort of animal that he lost a fight and is wounded. Maybe something else. But then he heard it outside of the house. He heard it going around, and he's thinking, thankfully it can't get in. And as he began to think, at least I'm safe here, he heard the knob on the front door begin to turn. He heard the old creaking metal of it beginning to turn and push in. And part of him wondered, should he get up and bars the door? Should part of him wonder if he should try to remain still and perhaps the creature, or whatever it was, would go away? He heard it moving around downstairs, eventually coming up the old clickety stairs, its body, its weight making each and every step groan. But its gait, the way it was moving, was it on 2 legs or 4? And it finally came up to the top of the stairs. And he sat there laying on his back, staring straight up at the top of the ceiling, keeping his breath almost to a near hiss. And then he heard the door of his room open slowly, it pushing its way in, the groan of the old oak creaking in its hinges, until finally it was all the way open, and beyond that door, nothing but a black veil, until a long, slender arm reached in and placed itself on the floor, and then another, and slowly crawling forth what almost could be seen as an emaciated form, its pale skin almost a disgusting white, lifting its head up from what appeared to be a head that was far too misshapen that could be possible. Uh-oh. One moment. I think my OBS is fucked up. Nope. Me just having a headache. Still getting new. But back to the story. Fuck you, OBS. As the creature coming forth, its head moving side to side from a neck that appeared to be far too long for its body, and it's moving slowly, its head waving side by side, long black oily hair dripping down from its head. And then it lifted its head up at a peculiar angle. Two large, great black eyes stared out at him, the pupils almost completely pinpricks. This long, creepy and putrid smile, almost as if to say, I am here and would you like to see something funny? The man still laid perfectly still on the bed, his breath but barely a whisper, as the creature came closer and closer to him, till one hand found the foot of the bed, crawling up on top of itself, it hovering above him like a grotesque-looking spider, its head coming closer to his, its grin getting bigger, more and more teeth appearing, until it looked down at him. Its smile is almost as putrid as this. Its cracked and disgusting teeth there, as it stared into his eyes and he back. And at first, he was not certain if he was going to survive, or he would live. But something happened. The creature, that big, disgusting smile, began to shrink, little by little, and becoming a frown. The eyes that were wide, almost with a fever, began to show emotion. It began to show fear. It pushing away slowly from the man. Its actions almost as if it was repulsed and fearful. And the man, as he lay perfectly still, staring up at this creature, not moving, not breathing, not even making a sound, heard a raspy voice, as if one who had not been used for such a very long time. Its face. Why does it have no face? The creature, slowly slinking away, fearful of it not, as if it had realized it was not the creature. It was not the predator here. Instead, he had become prey. Slowly slinking back down the stairs, out the door. And then he heard it bolt through the field, screaming its head off. And all as it ran away, a combination of screeching and speech could be heard. And finally, before it disappeared from earshot, he heard, "It has no face! It has no face!" The man laid there, completely petrified without even moving, eyes fixated on the ceiling, not sure if he was alive or dead, staring and wondering what was happening. And he lay there for several hours, no longer feeling the pangs of sleep, no longer feeling exhaustion and anything else. And slowly he looked to the left out the window, its cracked and dirty pane showing the field and direction the creature had ran. He looked out there until the first rays of sun began to move up over the hill. And as it began to lighten, he sprung from the bed, flew out of his sleeping bag, grabbed his belongings, shot down the stairs, threw everything he had in his car, slammed the door, cranked its motor. Under great distress and anger, he forced it into gear and took off. He did not stop until he finally made it back to civilization. The entire time, this ski mask still tucked in tightly around his collar, his heart trying desperately to pump enough blood to remain conscious. His hands almost surely gripping the steering wheel so tight there would be an imprint where they were. And he told his wife these tales of the creature, the farmhouse, and what had happened. Her eyes wide and fearful, a shock look of disgust and shock, fear and disbelief. And so, for the rest of the man's days, when he would go to bed, he would wear that ski mask. He would keep one eye open towards the door, and he would listen for that same raspy voice. And with that, the first story of the evening is done. I hope you enjoyed it, minus the few technical fuck-ups. Well, I try my best. I'm still learning this. It's only the second time I've streamed, so bleh. So, all of you out there, and who are listening, I hope you enjoyed that story, and do tell me what you think of it. It is one of those little things that I heard many years ago. And it's one of the few stories that have stuck with me even after all these millennia. So, give me a moment to grab a little bit of water. And where the heck I put the doohickey? Alright. Left, right, up, down. Where the heck did I put my frown? Left, right, up, down. Where the heck did I put my frown? Alright. Alrighty then. Wow. That story took almost 30 minutes. And we have so many more to go. But since we have a bunny in the chat, should I tell about the mutant cookies? No, that would give a poor bunny nightmares. No. What story should be next? What one would make people enjoy and laugh? How about something I have not told anyone? That not even the members of Cookie Tin Production know. But someone is about to. What if I told you I actually wrote a book back when I was only 8 years old? Of course, it was a class project. And it was a silly children's book. But it was one and the same. And even our teacher thought it was quite inventive. And it was, I will admit. It had her puzzled because it did not just have pictures and silliness and then. It had flow. It had conflict. It had imagination. Yes, it was a little bit silly and a little bit funny and... But it had depth. Or at least enough what a 10-year-old could write. So, for the first time, outside of my family, and the first time to be told here. A simple but feel-good story. There's one at least a 10-year-old could write. The story is called Did You Have a Weird Day? I Did. Our story begins on a school bus coming home from our classes and the day's end. Our main protagonist, a little bit of a pudgy shithead, with a bucket on his head and a familiar gruff little voice.
It's me.
And as he was riding on the bus going home, he noticed how it was strange. All of the teachers in the school had the same slack face and expression, this big, strange smile. All of this expression as if they could see you but were not seeing you. As if they were there but not. As he was coming home, he got off the bus and went to talk to his mother, who was hanging laundry on the line. It was his father's work uniforms and a bunch of odds and ends. And he asked her if he could go over and visit one of his friends' house. It was strange he was not at school today. And he was worried. But he was a good boy. He was a good bean. Of course, this also meant he got and brought the young man his homework. Ain't he special? So, he went over to his friend's house, carrying the workload he had brought, the school books, the notes he had taken, minus the fact that, let's just face it, someone at that age, his handwriting is quite bad. Exceptionally mine. And they walked up to their friend's house and knocked. No response. He pressed the doorbell.
Hold the fuck up. Open the fuck up.
He pressed the doorbell.
Hold the fuck up. Open the fuck up.
But no response. And he knew it was strange. But he did know from his friend and his friend's mother that he had permission to use the Heidi key. Because once when his friend was sick, and so was his mother and his father, he had brought over a bowl of food and soup for them that his mother had given him. And he wanted to make them feel warm and welcome to the neighborhood. So he reached down under the fake rock, got the key, turned it in the lock, and went inside. And the moment he got inside, he noticed something. The air smells quite foul, and quite strange. Not like it was odor, but as if someone had held in a fart far too long, and things were eking out. So he was walking around trying to find his friend, and he heard something from down in the basement. A muffled sound. A sound that did not sound right. So he thinking, oh, perhaps they're downstairs trying to fix something. He knows that, well, his friend's father might be an accountant. His mother actually turned out to be quite handy with most tools, because of growing up much like his family did. All of his family was farmers. When something broke, you fixed. So he went to the door, opened it, and called down to his friend to see if he was down there. Hey, anyone down there? So he turned on the light and slowly traversed down the stairs. And of course, that horrible smell was getting worse. When he finally flicked the flicked the light, his expression changed greatly. There was his friend, plastered to the wall and almost like he'd been duct taped. But this was like big, nasty, boogery things. Next to him was his mother. Next to him was his father. And at first he's like, what in the hell is this? And he heard something. He turned, and it was one of the teachers from the school. The head teacher, the one that he hated the most, 'cause she always gave him homework, especially on the weekends. I mean, come on. Who cares what a stamen is? Who wants to know where the Djibouti Africa is? Telling you, I'll give you a hint. Just by the name alone, it's on the ass. But she sat there, in a chair, hands folded, this strange, peculiar smile, her teeth slightly yellow, her skin quite pale, and in a voice that did not quite sound like it belonged to her, said, well, appears we have another naughty child here who should be disciplined. And the young boy looked at that woman like, oh, you ain't gonna do shit. And she stood up. Why the hell is her head touching the rafters? She was not the same size as she was in school. She was several feet tall. And she looked bigger. You see what mother said when someone would get gained 1 weight? Woof. So, he backed up closer and closer to the stairs, getting ready to boogie the hell out of there if something happened. And not even moving an inch, she lifted out her arms and they stretched towards him. And at this moment, the young man knew two things. And I'm getting the heck out of here. So he flew back up those stairs, hands and feet climbing as fast as he can, trying to get the heck out. He ran out of his friend's house, ran to his mother who was beginning to cook dinner, and said, something is wrong over at my friend's house. One of the teachers is there. She's not right. And he kept blah, 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 talking about this. And she's like, no, he's probably having a conference. You had one last month. Especially after you got in trouble because you superglued someone to a frickin' chair. So, as he kept trying to tell his mother, no, something is wrong, this is not right. The back door opened and another teacher walked in. It was one of the social studies teacher, and he was a tall, long, gangly bugger. And of course, his mother looked up and said, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You did not knock. That's very rude. And he just kind of stood there, arms and legs at funny angles. And he just said, time to put the boy in detention. And of course, in true country fashion, the boy's mother stared at the man, blinking but twice, and then throwing a cast iron frying pan at the man's face, landing a solid whang. The man doubled back but did not fall. It is as if his body went, feet firmly planted, but his head absorbed much of the blow. When he stood back up, the right side of his face was flattened, almost like a cartoon. The mom stood there completely enamored and buggered. And not understanding what had happened, the boy, taking this opportunity, ran to get something special he'd been working on. His dad had taught him how to build something cool. Of course, he was not allowed to use it outside of the yard. It was a brand new super soaker he had built. He ran and got it, came back, and aimed it at the weird-looking teacher. He said, "You're not welcome here," and fired. Of course, it is just water. What could that do? It struck the teacher straight in the chest and punched a hole right through. The teacher's eyes and expression changed for the first time. And then his body began to change and softened until finally it began to melt into a pile of goop. Huh. Teacher soup. And the boy sat there looking at it. It's like, what in the heck did I make? And can I sell this? The mother was there still singing in shock. And he told his mother, "My friend, his family are over in the basement. They're stuck to the wall with this weird goop. My teacher was there, but she was so much taller. Her head was stuck in the rafters. Her body is swollen and fat. What is going on?" And hello, Foxalotl. I hope you are well. So the boy went back upstairs, grabbed the second one he was working on, and gave it to his mother. He said, "Let's go over there and take care of this once and for all." And the mother, still quite in shock, just followed along like, okay. So they went back over to his friend's house, back down into the basement. But now the teacher had swollen up so much, she was like she had doubled over, as if she was too tall for the space she was in. So she began to try to push and move around there, but she was stuck firm. The family against the wall, trying to make sounds, but their mouths were glued shut. The teacher said, as they looked up at the boy and mother, "You have a horrible child. He is ill-equipped for the future and must be disciplined." As if by hearing this, his mother had one response. Unfortunately, this part of the story had to be redacted, but apparently I'm not allowed to have fingers in child books. Well, she turned the barrel of the giant super soaker towards the teacher and fired. The stream flew right down and barreled into her chest, causing the teacher to wiggle and scream. The boy quickly followed suit and fired his own. The teacher's body began to swell up as if all the excess water was turning her into a balloon. As she began to swell further and further, her voice distorted. And until finally, her volume could not be contained. With a mighty poof, her body exploded, coating everything down there in this thick, slimy ichor. Almost as to say, ugh. But, yes, after he'd freed his friend from the wall, his mother and father too, They said their pleasantries as the mother began to take her boy upstairs, cuddle him, and hopefully make sure he was safe. The father being completely blown away by something weird had happened. As he was leaving the front door, he called to the others. They ran out. Out in the streets and on the lawn, there were giant puddles of the same goop that the teacher was made of, with a bunch of teacher's clothing spattered about it. Most likely, the head teacher was the one who controlled everything else. And with her gone, the others fell. So the young boy and his mother went back to the house. The mom sat down to have a cup of coffee to calm her nerves. But the young boy, not wanting to waste this opportunity, filled back up the giant homemade super soaker and went back out to cause some more mischief. And like that, he could calmly say he had a very weird day. This was a story I wrote a very long time ago when I was very young. Not bad for an elementary student. The same teacher that helped me write this was also the one that thought I copyrighted a poem I wrote. But my, was she surprised when another teacher said, no, he wrote this himself, it's just I had to copy it over because his handwriting was so atrocious. And with that story coming to a close, if you have any opinions or suggestions, do let me know. But since we do have a couple beans in chat, I hope you're both doing well tonight. To Amber Foxalotl and Ujapu, I hope I get this right. I think I did last time, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's supposed to be all lowercase. Hey, I got it right. But there you go. Both of you a shout out each. And I thank you for both coming. Although, I hope that worked. But, like I said, if there was a few beans out there wish to come to the campfire and hear these stories in person, I'm here at our friend in Newsworld. /then shout out. My dyslexia comes and strikes me in my ass. Let me try this again. Hey, it worked. Okay, I have to wait 1 minute before I can do the one for Amber. I'm supposed to be the owner of this channel. You think I could do something like that? But see what we're doing right now. Come on. Let's wait another minute. Do. I want to give a shout out for my friends tonight. Come on. Oh shit, that also means I also fucked up for Camelia. Shit. Alright. Perhaps we'll start on the third story. Another story while we're waiting for this fucking countdown. To think, I want to do this solo until I hit affiliate. I am an idiot. Alright. Perhaps a next tale. But it is one of my favorites. And my favorite way of telling it. Is it fact? Is it fiction? Was it real? Or was it a fantasy? I want you two in chat, or those in chat, to tell me after the tale. This story is about a man named Elmo. Elmo was quite a scrawny little man. He lived in a kingdom far away. But he served in the royal guard. He served his king. And his band of friends would go out through the countryside to deal with any of the bandits, any of the things that would come up. But unfortunately, like all places, sadly war soon came. While the war progressed, so did come winter. And he was out there with his friends, trying to make it way through the snow. And all of his friends knew Elmo, he doesn't much care for these potions with thingamabobs. So they had him all carry them. All the rehabilitation potions, all the ones that would give you a quick pick-me-up when you are running low. And then he would carry them and moving around and stuff. Until finally, while they were trying to finish their patrol, they accidentally stumbled upon a group of the enemy. And soon they were firing arrows, shooting their spells. And soon they realized they were vastly outnumbered. Many of their friends had been injured, and they had to run. So Elmo quickly took the lead and with one of his friends, trying their best to punch a hole through the snow so the others could follow. More and more, the enemy began to gain. Occasional arrows streaking through and hitting the dirt near where the wounded were being carried. A random spell fired down from above. Some goddamn wizard going, "Harkus Fireball! Harkus Fireball!" More and more these fire and incoming enemy weapons were getting closer and closer to them. Imo was growing tired. Wait, sorry, Elmo. I can't remember shit tonight. Oh, this is what happens when I try to type something out while doing something stupid. Well, Elmo reached down for the satchel that had some of the elixirs and potions. He knew he hated them. He hated the way they tasted. They made him feel funny. But he needed something to keep going. So, he opened the bag and looked down at it, and his spirits shrunk. All of the potions, all everything else, the corks had all popped off, and they were all mixed together. A giant slurry of weird glowing purple, greens, and blues. And Elmo looked back and saw his friends in danger, the enemies getting closer. He said, I have no other choice. So he grabbed the bag, lifted it up, making sure there was only a small opening, and drank the entire concoction. He sat there for a moment thinking, I don't know if this is working. And sure enough, as if Zeus himself grabbed hold of poor Elmo and shoved a lightning bolt up his ass, he felt as if he had the energy of 20 men. He quickly began to take his stick and everything else he could use to clear the snow, and it was as if he had become Wile E. Coyote himself. Just right through the snow with all of his friends desperately trying to keep up, wondering why all of a sudden poor Elmo had turned into a fucking woodchipper. They kept going and going, and pretty soon they managed to outrun the enemies and found themselves far, far off the path they had normally traveled, and decided to stop long enough to rest, to feel better, to see if everything was all right. And then they looked around, taking care of patching the wounded, helping the weak and the injured. And then a few of his friends noticed Elmo skittering about, going, I am Cornholio! Give me TP for the bunghole! I need air bunghole testing! And of course, Elmo was tripping balls. He was zipping around, trying to figure what the hell is going on. Why do I feel so great? Up, down, up, down, up, down. Button two. Much. Pretty soon, they knew. They opened the bag that held all of the potions and the elixirs. They turned to Elmo. One of his comrades smacked himself on the face and said, oh, he's gonna be in rough times. So they quickly knew, because of his current state of mind, they took his sword away. They took his knife. They took his bow. They took his blast rod. And they went to go quickly put these away so he could not harm himself. And when he turned around to see what Elmo was doing so they could get him close to the fire and make sure he would stay put, they realized Elmo had disappeared. Shit. And somewhere off in the distance you could hear a bit of a chittering and squeaking as Elmo scurried off into the distance, most likely to steal copper from buildings and sell it for crank. I'm making jokes. But he scampered off, running through the snow, not giving two shits, until finally he was like, I'm tired, I'm thirsty. Where the hell am I? Where's my friends? He began to wander around. He checked his map. He checked, I have no sword. I have no knife. I have no bow. I have no blasting rod. What in the hell did they do? But he remembered he did have a secondary knife. He had a waystone. and a few simple provisions. So, he began to use the waystone to figure out where he had to go. And he managed to work his way through the woods, through the winterscape, to find a small cabin. All right. He went inside, tired, exhausted. In most common source, it is a good idea to put fire into a hearth, a fireplace, a campfire. I have almost one question. Guess where Elmo decided to build a fire? Smack dab in the middle of the cabin. He did not care. He was tired. He was cold. He wanted something to drink. He may have found a bottle of mead tucked away somewhere. He's like, you know what? I need something to warm me off. I cast fireball. And he made himself a fire right in there. As he began to roll over and fall asleep, the fire that was now in the middle of the floor began to go hotter and hotter, until finally Elmo had to keep starting screeching away from the fire because it kept getting bigger and bigger, hotter and hotter, until finally Elmo was right up against the wall. And he's sitting there like, it's too hot in here. Looks up, sees a window, opens the window, crawls through, falls out face first into the snow. By this time, the entire cabin is ablaze. As he's outside in a snowbank, a giant roaring fire behind him, he was actually quite comfortable. As he's trying to doze off, trying to go to sleep, he hears something. Huh? He hears a growl of a beast. A weather beast. Some unholy abomination. It looks like a beaver and a wolf got ugly and made something even uglier. And so, he pulled out his secondary knife. The creature charged at him. He lunged, grabbed it, forced it to the ground, started stabbing his knife into the nether wolf, trying to get it in. And as he stabbed down, he stopped and realized, this is a fucking log. When did Nether Beast learn how to do substitution? Then he looked at his hand, at the knife. That was not a knife. That was my waystone. The waystone cracked and crumbled and fell to the ground. And it was at this moment that Elmo realized, bruh, I'm fucked up. So, with a little bit of talent and a little bit of luck, he used the stars to guide himself hopefully further back home. And he was crossing a hill and looked down and he saw a camp. And he's like, yes, I found my friends. So he begins to run all the way down the hill, slides into camp and says, did anyone miss me? Until he stopped, looked all around, and realized, oh shit, they're not wearing our colors. He had run smack dab into an enemy base. Most likely the same bastards that were chasing him earlier. And so, still having the effects of the weird concoction inside of him, he took off fast as he can, running through the camp, jumping over people, running up, legs splayed, teabags the commander, scampers off into the woods. The entire time, the entire encampment is screaming, get the little, get him, capture that one. Capture that one. And so, Elmo scampered back off into the night. His body tired, his mind racing, his thoughts wandering. Papa, can you hear me? And all bunch of other weird shit. He could not concentrate on where he was, what he was doing. He just knew. Until finally, he was tired, and he stumbled upon what appeared to be an enemy emplacement. A small camp they had made, but maybe abandoned. And so, he walked down to it, wondering, perhaps I can find some supplies. Perhaps I can hear or find something I can use to fill my belly. 'Cause I'm tired. These potions won't stop. I want to take a nap. Oi. So as he's walking down through the enemy encampment, completely exhausted and fueled on enough potions to kill a horse, his brain seemingly burbled up some little information. Wait, doesn't the enemy have a precedence for using blasting stones? And as he stepped onto a misshapen rock, he heard the pop and hiss, and the ground underneath him burst into flame. Elmo flew through the air, coming back down, landing face first into the mud and the snow, and laying there. And he surely thought, yes, this is where I will die. Face first, ass up, completely comically exposed. As he sat there and let the cold soak into his body a little bit, he thought, this isn't so bad. He sat there and laid more and thought, and thought, and thought, and came to the conclusion, death is taking a long-ass time to happen. And so, he pushed himself up, his one good leg all buggered, and all tore up. And if a little fox is trying to make her way this way, you'll have to fly. I'm on the hill. Try to not use the teleport. And he sat there, and he got himself up, made a small picked up a stick, hobbled his way towards one of the buildings, thinking, okay, I'm not dead yet. That hurt, but I'm not dead. He walked over, refuge, grabbed hold of the rope handle for the door, gave it a tug, and shit. The whole little shack exploded outward, the door slapping poor Elmo in the face, carrying him further into the air and slamming him down on his back, the big heavy wooden door on his face, almost completely cartoon style, him laying under the door, everything else raining down upon him, and he's thinking, what are the odds that happened twice? He pushed the door off, looked down and realized, now I will surely die. So he flopped back down to his back, stared up at the sky, wondering how long it would take this time. And then he heard a yell. Some voices. And then more voices. He looked over and he saw a few of his compatriots, a few of his friends. He waved weakly and said, "Hey, did you see that? I flew." And they began to run towards him. And he's thinking, they don't know about the blast rocks. And sure enough, the one in lead got flipped through the air, came right back down, face first, ass up, almost completely comical. The other two was like, "Oh shit, blast rocks." So they look over at poor Elmo, all tore up, been through 2 explosions, tweaking out of his damn mind, and said, "Don't worry, we're gonna take our friend back and get some help, and we'll come back for you. Don't die." I almost could swear in back of Elmo's head, you could hear a singular voice yelling,
No shit, Sherlock. No shit, Sherlock.
and so he began to move forward. He flipped over on his belly, crawled over to where there was a stump, propped himself over, and thought, do I give up and die? No. Pulls out his the cup for his little kit. This simple little metal thing. He scoops up some snow. He grabs some pine needles. He tries making a small fire. And as he's heating up this little concoction, something he could put in his belly, something that would make him feel a little better. He saw a little dove flap down in front of him. Certainly a sign of peace. Certainly a sign that there will be better days. Certainly your ass is going to be KFC.
Fireball.
So he grabs this little wreck of a bird now, begins to eat it whole, doesn't care about cleaning it or doing whatever is needed. He just was hungry. He drank the weird nettle and snow water tea. He was finally had something in his belly. He smiled, and then he passed out. Sometime later, he found himself in one of the infirmaries back in the castle. His body in bandages, his friends wondering if he would truly wake up. And so, once again, the battle he had been part of raged on for some time longer, until finally it ended. And Elmo, deciding perhaps being in the King's Guard is a little bit much. I want to become a potato farmer. And so he retired from his life of intrigue and funniness and decided to live a simple life. Now, for those out there and those who know their history, can you guess if this story is true or false? Was this make-believe, or was it based off of something real? So, Wujabu, Amber, could you tell me in chat if it is true or fake? Was this based off of a true event, or was this old Tinky Boy lying out of his armored ass? I'll wait a few seconds. Long enough for me to grab something to drink.
If I had the be right back screen, it'd be right about here. If I had the be right back screen, it'd be right about here.
Ah. The Ujaboo thinks it was based off a real. What about you, Amber? Do you think this was real, or was it fantasy? Don't know? Well, I will tell you right now. This story is in fact based off of real things. The person in the story was not named Elmo. His name was Aimo. Aimo Hoyak. He was a Finnish soldier in World War II. And he had quite an experience after taking something called Pervitin. If you don't know what that is, look it up. And if you want to know more about this story, I would looking it up as well. There's a few good YouTube stints and other things to tell you about this story. But Aimo, he went through much worse than poor Elmo. Although getting blown up a few times did happen. Trying to kill an ender beast with a rock. No, he tried to kill a wolverine with a knife. Except that wolverine turned out to be a log and that knife turned out to be his compass. Whoops! Alright. That would be the third story of the night done. And so much more to go. So, just give me a moment. I just realized I am out of my play space. And I want to grab my chair. So I can sit down. Get angry at my cable for wrapping itself around my head. And I sit down. Oh, crap, I can't reach my controls. One moment. Always have the camera controls when you hit down into a chair. And I sit down by the campfire. All right. Much better. Now I can at least tell some stories and be comfortable. I just realized the camera went someplace it shouldn't have. Whoopsie. All right. Now we are back here and we are relaxing. I can kick my feet up. I can look up at the stars. Who knows? Play lead guitar. Dun, 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 dun. All right. Perhaps the next story is to begin. And what shall it be? Another, perhaps it was real or fake. Perhaps something scary. No, that was the first story of the night. Best not keep that there. Perhaps a good one. One that will make many people happy. 'Cause, let's face it, this story will have to be about the one thing that is the hardest in the universe to understand. The hardest thing in the universe to comprehend. And no, I'm not talking about Blender. The story of a man who fell in love with a princess. And if you know the real name of the story, wait till the end to tell me. And many years ago, there was a poor boy growing up on a farm. He did not have much as a way of riches, but he worked hard. One day, his family had been given a task to help raise his cousin. She was a very fair maiden, very kind. But he knew that she was not originally a part of this family. She was, how do you say, a godchild from someone else. A dear old friend of his father's who had passed away and left her in care of this man's family. Technically, she was family, and technically, she was not. Actually, the way she acted more like a princess than anything else. Always lording herself over everyone else, saying, "Oh, this is not nice," or "This is not proper." You see, she was always walking around. She always seemed to know how things worked, how ways of the world were, and how they did. But the young man, he had worked on the farm his whole life. He had no major skills or powers. He just had his own two hands. And so, life continued on. Till one day, the young girl had been called to the capital. She was to be put into the queen's court and made into a woman, a lady in waiting. A real honor for this. Her strange beauty and kindness would not be unseen by anyone. No, by everyone else. And the young man stayed at the farm, working the fields, tending to the crops, taking care of everything at home. He wanted to make sure his family was proud of him. He wanted to make sure he was done right. And years go by, until one day, the young man gets word that the young girl, the woman, the young lady in waiting had been captured, stolen away by a crooked man. And he knew he had to do something. So he went after her. And for the young lady, as she's being transported to God knows where, she had been kidnapped by a giant of a man. A man with a simple sword that was too big for his hands, and a small, short, crooked little man who seemed to be very smart. As they were being told to take her somewhere, they got wind that a man on a horse, draped in black, had come after them. Sure enough, somehow a man draped in black had found them and challenged them to a fight. First the giant stayed behind to take care of this man and making sure his friends could get away. Soon, the man in black kept up with him again, realizing he must be great and strong, for the giant would not have fallen easily. Next was the man with the unique sword. They fought a lot, and until the man with the unique sword fell, but not dead. He'd been clubbed over the top of his head and left unconscious, but alive. And so when the man in black caught up with the short but crooked man, he made a deal, a bet. If you could tell which of these glasses has a particular poison in it, I'll give you the girl. And if you can't, she's lost to you forever. Well, they played a game of chance. And soon the crooked little man slaffed and slaffed. You fool! I knew you would choose the wrong cup. I knew you would do all these things. And he kept telling it, laughing and laughing, until finally he fell to the side, dead as a doornail. For you see, the man in black hadn't just mixed one drink with poison. He mixed on them all. And soon the man in black went after the princess, finally getting her away. She had no idea who her savior was, until she gave him a horrible order, and he replied quickly but sweetly, in the same way the simple farmhand had reported to her, or anyway he had commented on each of them. If you're curious, this story is actually based off of a real book and movie. It is called The Princess Diary. And yes, it is one of my favorites. All right. We've been going for about an hour and a half, and we have about another half hour to go. Since I'm still getting used to this and, yes, trying my best to keep going and keep the energy moving. I am quite tired. Speaking of which, I need to grab a drink.
I hope Landon's not listening, because this is going to really piss someone off.
Don't worry, it's not an alcoholic. It's a tonic. It helps me stay awake. So, what story shall we tell more? What should be left? All right. Since we have enough time for hopefully one good story, let us continue on. And since my voice is coming back, let us make it a good one. All right. Many moons ago, in a realm far from here, there was a guild of sorts for adventurers who tried to find their way in the world, tried to find adventure, the unbelievable, and everything else. And in this guild was a young man. He had only just become an adventurer earlier the month. And he wanted to go into the world to find the dungeons, to hunt the monsters, and become a legend. as he would go out with different parties trying to find the quarry, he would always end up getting beaten up, or worse, thrown around like a ragdoll. More and more he realized he was getting kicked around like a tin can, but not doing much. So, he began to go to different areas, different dungeons, talking with people, trying to figure out how to get stronger. He couldn't figure it out. So, back into the dungeons he went, exploring, tripping over things, trying to understand each and every mark that were hidden. Till one day, he heard the scream of another adventurer. They were trying very hard to escape a mimic-type creature. It looked like a chest with crab legs sticking out and a giant snapping maw in the middle. So the young man tried his best to get the creature's attention. He trying his best to keep the creature entertained to fight him, so he could hopefully have someone that's nearby go for poison or some sort of device or key that would kill this creature. The skittering of the crab legs, the snapping of the maw and hood of the lid. He swore he saw a pair of sickly yellow eyes peering at him from underneath the hood. So he had but one chance. I will use infernal damnation. Aimed his hand at it and fired. Nothing happened. Huh? He looked around trying to figure out what was going on until he checked the under the sea or a bit of a under the known type spell. He activated and a bit of a small bubble appeared. A little looking glass into things that were not quite seen. As he saw each of his friends scurrying and running about, trying to figure out how can I get out of this. Well, he wasn't very lucky. Trying to keep going with my brain tired. It has been a very long day, I'm afraid. 8 hours and then doing a stream. Oof. Alright, let us continue. We still got 30 minutes to go, and I would like to finish strong. Heaven forbid I pass out on everyone here on stream. At least I could have at least wore some pie shocks and at least earn some money that way. Shock the shit out of the tanky and wake him up. Well, once again he looked down and didn't realize the being was nowhere to be found. So they decided to start looking into possible locations by digging up what little tunnels were made and following them back. Sure enough, they figured out where they went. It had ran into a hidden distillery of the preacher. And looking around, trying to understand why and how. Well, he found out that they... fuck. You can tell I'm tired. I completely forgot the story. Shit. Well, as he was trying to figure out... Oh. Well, I completely forgot where I was, and I have no idea what to do. Alright, let us try something else. Restart, new story. Maybe sometime on the weekend we should try playing a game or something. Maybe that would be easier. And if you haven't tried RV that Ojabu, it's pretty fun. Crazy, but fun. Alright. Let's finish this up with one good story and call it a night. Here we go. A few years ago, when everything for me was at least still unknown, I can tell you I remember spending my weekends helping build silly things for my aunts and uncles. Probably for the parties, however silly stuff. I couldn't tell you. I remember fixing up this like little projector, making it fit in the back of my nephew's. Picking up one of his little play sets. Each piece a tiny tear for your toes and back. Well, as he began to move about, trying to figure out what was going on. Oh, frick. I actually do believe my brain's too well fried to tell a story right now. Alright. Since we've got 30 minutes to kill, how about we talk for a little while? Finish this out strong, but at least I don't have to use my already tired brain to think of a story. Well, how about this? I hope you all out there are doing well tonight, trying to relax and find someplace restful. Here I have a campfire, the stars above, and I hope you are out there doing well too. It is quite different seeing it on this side of the camera, trying to understand everything and figure it out. Much harder too. But I hope these stories I can tell will do better. I definitely will have to prepare better for next time, I know that much. And working a full day definitely takes its toll upon you. But with that being said, I've actually quite grown to enjoy this place. Grown to tell stories, to make everyone around me feel that little bit of peace and calm. Remembering what it was like to sit next to a campfire, sit next to your friends as stories were told, to hear the sounds of the crickets and everything else. The sounds of the night. the sounds of peace and quiet. It is good to relax and hear many things. Perhaps I should sit down and help a certain Burby scratch in the next available cookies and streams. But before I forget, and since I did forget to do this last time, I would like to take a moment to say thank you to my friends and my fellow members of Cookie Tin Productions. If you don't know who that is and what that is, it is a little place on YouTube and here on Twitch, ran by my good friends Ujabu, Tas, Inu, and myself. Ujabu has able to do the YouTube and put some videos up there. And once in a while we would get together and hold a little podcast in this world. And it's quite enjoyable. And sometimes, well, since it's completely unscripted, comedy does happen and silliness does follow. I would also like to point out and shout out to another member of Cookie Tin's Productions. She has just started streaming again and getting things well. Kara's Kick. A smart aleck little sharky that bounces around when she isn't in her yin form. And quite adorable. Ujabu and his channel. And if you haven't heard the intro that a certain little bunny made, he was the one who made the music for my intro. And I do believe he did an exceptional job. Thanks for teaching me how to do a bit of Unity and getting myself started to take bigger steps. And Inu Asha for taking the time to build this world. Taking the time to make it perfect for each and every single one of us. So, as the counter slowly winds down, and the stories have been told, perhaps one short one before the end, I just hope I have enough strength to carry on to the end, but let us finish strong. Once again, if you know the name of this story, wait till the end to tell it. Because I want to see who has heard this one before. And who had not. It is a very old one. A very old one from back when Greece and many other places was at war. So each of those from one fighting style would create weapons and throw. And the king of one of these countries became quite jealous. Rome would have these ways of making the fire and pots burnable and never go out. Another had great master balance of warriors. Eventually, over time, this is the kingdom that they were all in. not sin. And so the king decided to take one of his best inventors, force him to build deadly weapons for everybody. So the king found an old man that was a great inventor and told them, I want you to build me something to defeat my enemies. The man said no. The king threatened the man's son. Build me this vehicle or your son will die. Soon the king became cruel and said to the man, if you do not build me these weapons, I will harm your son. And the man feared for the life of his child. So the man was forced to be put into tower with his son. The greedy king made him to build many, many inventions, many weapons, and he hated every moment of it, until he had a bright idea. He went down to the king and said, I'm going to build something that may be a better bow than you've ever shot. And so the inventor thought of a way of getting out of here, but he would need time and a way out. So the inventor had to think of a way to get him and his son away from this mad king. And he had the perfect idea. He told the man, I want long, thin pieces of bamboo that haven't been hardened but still moist and able to be bended. He swanked and stole as much scrap metal as he could. So he asked the king for thin but pliable sticks, a large amount of wax and feathers. So the man and his son began to go to work. During the night they would craft and tinker and build. And slowly but surely they made their invention, a way of getting out. But since the greedy king did not know much, he did not care. He thought the strange advice are doing. Well, so let's finish this up, because I can feel myself getting tired. The man and his son worked through all the night, and on the day when the king wanted to see what his new toy would be, he saw two giant shadows cross across the top of his head. He looked up, and what appeared to be two gigantic ravens swimming into the night sky. As the king went to the tower that the old man was in, he climbed to the top and realized they were all gone. And he saw something moving across the ocean. He used a bit of a spyglass to see, and he saw it was the man. So he looked towards the sea and he saw something. Two giant birds swimming out. As the man and his son flew across the ocean, the man warned his son, "Do not fly too high. The sun will get hot and the wax holding your wings together will fall hard." As he continued to fly, he warned his son, "You need to not fly so high, because the sun could burn up your wings, and you cannot fly so low." The boy, became bored, would rise up in the sky and swoop back down, up and down, up and down, flying right, left, sometimes circles around the old man. The father would just, He continued to fly across the ocean, continued to move forward. The boy continued to play around and not listen to the father's warnings, until finally, the father banked back around to look for his son. He looked down at the father and only saw but a ring of feathers. The man looked for his son, only finding some feathers upon the ocean's top. He placed his head down low and looked, realizing he now had to finish the trek, but now with no sun by his side. If this story sounds familiar, it is perhaps the story you will know very well. The story of Icarus, the boy who flew too high to the sun and paid it dearly. All right. It is almost 2-hour mark. I'm running on brain power with his basically borrowed. I'm quite tired. Worked a full day today. I'm exhausted, so let's see if we can find a friend or a being we can raid into for the night. I'm tired, and I really wish I could have a drink of hot cocoa or hot cider, something that would help me sleep. Ah, a fellow good bean is on still, by the name of Keddy. So, Ujaboo, Amber, by any chance, would you know any good raid messages we could come up with? Something we could do that would make our dear friend Cadpig laugh and go yee hee hee hee. If that's not it, then I might have something. Of course, if it might help if I actually could type it out. All right. If everyone could, if you were there, could copy that. That will be our message to Caddy. All right. Let me put the outro on. And I'm sorry I did not have much energy tonight, and my stories were running short. I will admit, working a full day and doing this is quite hard. And I would very much like, somewhat down the line, maybe, hopefully, I might have to save it for Friday night or Saturday when I've had some rest. Alright. /raid? Cadpig Jr. Alright, everyone. I will see you another day, another night, and another story.